Did you know that by following a simple teaching from Jesus, you can transform your life and even change the way you see your enemies? It seems difficult, but that's exactly what he teaches us. The key to a deep peace is within your reach, and you will now understand how to apply it in your daily life. Stay until the end and find out how this power can transform everything around you. The first advice is to avoid conflicts and maintain fraternity. In our daily lives, we are often faced with situations that challenge us to maintain peace. If we look at the Bible, we can find many teachings on how to avoid conflicts. In James 3 verse 18, for example, we read, "Now, he who sows in peace for righteousness is a peacemaker." This reminds us that we must act wisely, being peacemakers, not feeding discussions that only generate disunity. In the workplace, in family relationships, or even in friendships, the words we choose can be the difference between building peace or the worsening of a conflict. Often, our faith calls us to act calmly, avoiding impulses that lead us to confrontation. When the Bible talks about the importance of maintaining fraternity, it reminds us that, as Christians, our behavior must reflect God's love. Fraternity, as the Word of God teaches us, is a true demonstration of faith. In Romans 12 verse 18 we read, "If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, have peace with all men." This challenges us not to allow pride or ego to interfere with our relationships. Instead, we are called to seek peaceful solutions, to listen, to understand the other. It is a reflection of Christ in our lives, who gave himself for us without expecting anything in return. So, how can we put this into practice in our daily life? A simple example is, when faced with a conflict situation, to take a deep breath and try to look at the situation from the other's perspective. Instead of responding impatiently, we can practice silent prayer, asking God for wisdom to act. Sometimes, the simple act of calming the heart and not reacting immediately can avoid great damage to our relationships. This daily practice is a way to demonstrate that, as Christians, we take Jesus' teachings seriously. Let's keep reflecting on how we can grow in wisdom, how to do good, especially in difficult times. The second advice is to master our own internal defects, such as pride and hypersensitivity. When we think about our internal defects, such as pride and hypersensitivity, it is easy to realize that these feelings can drive us away from living according to biblical teachings. Pride often prevents us from recognizing our failures and asking for forgiveness. The Bible teaches us, in Proverbs 16 verse 18, that pride precedes ruin, and the haughtiness of the spirit, the fall. Pride is a trap, which puts us in a position of superiority and prevents us from seeing others as equals. This is a defect that we all face, but with faith, we can learn to fight it. Another defect that can harm our relationships is hypersensitivity. Often, we are so focused on how we are treated that we forget to act with compassion and grace. When someone makes a comment that we don't like, our natural tendency is to react impulsively and often exaggeratedly. However, Jesus teaches us in Matthew 5 verse 39, "I, however, tell you not to resist evil, but to anyone who hits you on the right face, also offer him the other." This verse challenges us to control our reactions, not to let pride or hypersensitivity make us lose our peace. Instead, we can learn to respond patiently and see others with eyes of mercy. The practical application of this advice in our daily lives requires an attitude of humility. Instead of closing ourselves in our own perspective, we should ask God for discernment to understand situations in a deeper way. In conflict situations, if the tendency is to react with anger or distrust, we can remember to pray first. Pray not only for wisdom, but also asking God to help us overcome these internal weaknesses. True transformation begins with the recognition of our failures and the daily search for humility, because, as it is in Philippians 2 verse 3, do nothing out of partisanship or boasting, but out of humility, considering each other superior to themselves. The third advice is to understand that love for our enemies is a gift from God. Jesus challenges us to love not only those who love us, but also our enemies. This teaching may seem impossible in moments of pain and betrayal, but the Word of God reminds us that, without divine love, we are not able to do this on our own. In Matthew 5, verse 44, Jesus teaches us, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." This love, which is beyond human understanding, is a gift that we can only experience when we surrender to the will of God. When we manage to act with this kind of love, we are reflecting the character of Christ in our lives. But how does this apply on a daily basis? It starts with prayer. When someone hurts us, our instinctive reaction is to want to return evil, but the Bible teaches us to pray for these people. Prayer, in addition to bringing peace to our heart, allows us to see the situation with the eyes of God. As in Romans 12, verse 14, "Bless those who persecute you. Bless, and do not curse." By praying for those who hurt us, we are releasing God's power to act in our lives and in the lives of others. This helps us understand that forgiveness and love for enemies are a continuous process, one step at a time. In addition to prayer, Jesus also instructs us to do good to those who do us evil. This can be challenging, but it is at the moment of action that we see the transforming power of God's love. A practical example of this is when someone does us harm at work or in our personal life, and instead of fighting back, we choose to do something good for that person. It can be a simple gesture, such as a smile or a help when you least expect it. This not only honors God, but also brings peace to our spirit. As it is written in Luke 6, verse 35, "Love, therefore, your enemies, and do them good, and lend, expecting nothing in return." This is the true test of our Christian love. Now that you've known Jesus' three powerful counsel, it's time to put it all into practice. It's not just about understanding, but about living with these teachings in your heart, applying them at every moment of your day. Think, what would your life be like if you started to act with more patience, humility, and love for others, even for your enemies? The change you seek so much begins now, with the decision to follow the gospel with more dedication. So, how about starting to apply this advice and see the transformation happen? Don't forget to share in the comments how your walk has been, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos with more teachings that will help you grow in faith and Christian life.